pouring it into the pitcher. She's like, I don't know, but it's going to be good, and you're going to be happy, and we're going to have a great game.
Welcome back to Under Oath. Today we're interviewing Emmy Award-winning American chef Sandra Lee. Sandra, can you hear me?
I am hearing you just fine.
Are we on the East Coast or the West Coast?
I am on another continent.
Oh, geez. Hope it's not too early.
It's all good. No, it's later than you, but I'm so grateful that you're having me. Thank you, because the Blue Ribbon Baking Championship on Netflix means everything to me. I created it 12 years ago, and it is 8 episodes of riveting, absolutely incredible, shocking television.
You know, the one thing I know, when people work really hard on their passion projects, they wind up getting involved in the secondary work, the producing, making sure everything's correct. How much of that background stuff did you actually have to participate in?
Well, I created the show, and I'm one of the executive producers on the show. And I presented the show when I created it 12 years ago to the Food Network when semi-homemade was so hot. And they said no, and I thought, how is this possible? I have one of the hottest shows on the network, and you don't get the competition show, Blue Ribbon Baking Championship, even though 50% of the United States of America either goes to their state, local, or county fair, and all they do is eat, meaning that's all I do. And they have such interesting foods. Like, how do you say no to that? And so since I won the Blue Ribbon in 1992 at the LA County Fair, I thought, you know what, I'm not taking no for an answer. And I just kept reworking the show. Finally, Netflix said yes. And from the time they said yes to the time we were filming was 2.5 months. And we had 4 networks. 4 networks were negotiating for that show. So it was really an incredible process. And that speaks to timing. I mean, God wanted it now. And so here we are. But when you see these 10 competitors, and when you see how much you're going to learn in the riveting television, I mean, one of the set sketches on fire, and one of the contestants who's got 700 ribbons herself, is doing a double boiler, and she knows how to do this. She's breaking bowls, right, left, glass bowls. It's shocking. I actually feed Jason Biggs, my co-host, fried python, and he doesn't even know it. And he's like, what? It's a great show. You're going to love it.
You know, that's the one thing I love about what's going on now, because we have so many different outlets, different streaming services. I think people are dying for new content. And I think that's probably was a big thing, because back then, about 10, 11 years ago, you only had so many choices. But now, you know, people need this content. And I think because of the way you've blown up on the internet, where people are, I can't tell you how many people, when they found out I was doing this interview, was going, oh, you got to see this clip. You got to see this clip. And I mean, it's amazing.
Oh. Well, I really try. My job, and I think all of our jobs here, is to create wonderful moments for other people to enjoy. So if we're in a service business, you're in a service business, I'm in a service business. And, when I grew up, our job is to really serve. Like, here is what I can do for you. Here's what we have to offer you. Here's what I can share and show and teach you. But it has to be fun. And it has to be exciting, and it has to be riveting television. And that's what we created. And it took a village. It wasn't like a one and done. But when you have Bill Yosses, who's a former White House pastry chef under Bush and Obama, I mean, that man knows. He's one of the judges. You have Brian Ford, who's like the Lenny Kravitz of baking. I mean, he's just a bad boy at baking. And then, I kind of come in from a totally different point of view. And then you've got Jason Biggs from American Pie, who's actually a great baker himself, and who also does Orange is the New Black. He's just running. And then you have these contestants, these 10 contestants. In fact, when the first contestant goes home, oh my gosh, everybody is shocked, because it's the one person you don't think can go. And when we added up all of the votes, and we have to do it by the rules. It has to be by the rules. And you're looking at $100,000 prize. We're just like, if this guy goes home, and I just revealed it's a guy. So anyway, this person goes home, they're going to think this is set up. And it was never that way. It was like, that's how the votes came down. So we had to do it. And then the 8th episode, you're like, wait, how did this other person not win? I don't get it. It's $100,000. But when you go back and you watch it again, because a lot of people watch the entire 8 episodes a second time, there are very specific things that happen that you will notice along the way, and you're like, oh, of course. great time. You're going to have a good time. I can't wait for you to watch it. I want to know what you think.
So how do they the votes? Are those how many judges vote on that, or is that multiple people? Or is it just three? What are we looking at?
There are three of us. It's Bill, who is the White House pastry chef. There's myself, and there's also Brian Ford, who's like the Lenny Kravitz bad boy of baking. And then we have a great I also co-host with Jason Biggs, so there's a lot of funny moments, a lot of funny moments. And then there are 10 contestants that are former ribbon winners. One woman has over 700 ribbons, and she comes out of Des Moines, the state fair there in Des Moines. But we have the entire country really represented. There's Minnesota, there's New York, there's, everybody from around America is kind of included in this. And the first fair, not state fair, but the first fair was in 1765. So 11 years before we were a nation, we had a fair. We had these competitions. So this backdates to since before we were even recognized as a country. That's how much fairs are a fabric of the United States.
Now, one of the things about these baking shows and cooking shows is people believe if they watch the person make it, that they have a chance of being able to replicate these great meals. Do you think there's a possibility? I mean, is that the way the show works, or is it just like, okay, we have an idea, but you're going to have to figure it out?
No, absolutely. That's one of the things when I created it 12 years ago and I presented it to the Food Network initially and they turned it down. I created it as a competition meets a how-to, like your stand and stirs, which is myself with Semi-Homemade, Rachel Ray with 30-minute meals. So those are known as stand and stirs, and the others are the competitions like Next Food Network Star, which Guy Fieri comes out of, who, by the way, is in Minnesota right now, and the Minnesota State Fair is going on. But if you combine those two, you have a hybrid, and that's what this is. Because what are the icings and how do you make it? How do you convert a from-scratch recipe to a semi-homemade recipe and use the store-bought cake mix but amplify it and pump it up and make it spectacular? What are those old antique recipes that your great-great-grandmother had that are over 100 years old, and how do you make that today? And what are the vintage recipes over, I think, 50 or 70 years old that you can remake today? All of those things, not just cakes, cupcakes, pies, tarts, cookies, all of those things are included in this 8-episode show, as is America. I mean, we are America. Why is the British Bake Off the number one show in the United States for baking? Why? We're America. We created the blue ribbon. We have the best bakers right here. This is our show.
It's funny when I think about that because when you did semi-homemade, I think people love that because they were going, wait a minute, I can knock this meal out in, half hour, an hour, and now people are going, no, we want to do meals that take 6 hours, 12 hours. I mean, it's like construction.
And they want to bake from scratch. Thank you to COVID. There's a couple good things that came out of that time in our history. And I think people getting back to basics of baking and the family unit and being at home and, really creating that family environment and understanding who we are and where we came from and what makes us special.
I think about what makes people famous, what people are known for. And when I Googled you, I started looking at all the clips and everything else like that. And all my people in my office, they were hysterical because they go, oh, we love her. She's so funny with the way she does things. She's so human. We have a connection with her. Like the way you pour every drink, it's hysterical. Oh, you have 2 shots of vodka. And there's a woman in my office that goes, that's not 2 shots. That's like half a bottle. And it's so funny the way things work. I mean, how much humor do you think it's so important that we get away from, let's say, the Julia Childs, where everything was so serious, to something that is more human?
Well, that's why I have Jason Biggs. We have Jason Biggs as the co-host. It's because you want the levity and you want those memorable moments. And you also want 10 contestants that are relaxed and comfortable. Because when you have a show that's going to air in 190 countries and 38 languages, this is a representation of who we are, which is why I'm so excited to have the American audience's feedback and understanding of like, what are we missing? What do you think should be included? Where else should we go with this? Like, I like to hear what people have to say. And that is why I think I had 25 best-selling cookbooks. I mean, think about that. It's incredible. And the only reason I believe that that's so is because my job is to serve and to share. And if I can be the vehicle for that or the platform for that, like everybody just come and give your 2 cents and give your information. And that's how Colleen Schmidt, Fredonia, Wisconsin, like makes a cocktail in the morning before a Packer game. She's literally taking the vodka and she's just pouring it into the pitcher. She's like, I don't know, but it's going to be good and you're going to be happy and we're going to have a great game. Like, that's it. Like, just live your life. We got to, this is a moment. Our lives are a moment. So do everything that you can do every single day. And if you have a passion, don't take no for an answer. That is why the Blue Ribbon Baking Championship is on Netflix. I didn't take no for an answer. 12 years of no. That is perseverance, and that is what it takes to make something special. So if someone tells you no, say, okay, next, I'll come back to you later. Netflix said no in 2019, and in 2023, they said yes. So you just stay your course. You believe in something, you do it, and then have a nice cocktail on the side and give yourself a break.
Well, now that you've knocked out this goal, this was a big one for you. It was 10 years in the making. You know, you look at the next step and you go, now I was able to do this. Now I can do this. You know, what's next on the plate?
I want to make the Blue Ribbon Baking Championship even better. So I really want the input of people who have watched all 8 episodes and what they think of them. I would like to, there's 2 other things on my bucket list. After I was diagnosed, I looked at my verticals in my life, like what is my bucket list projects? And one of them is called Aunt Sandy Claus, which is a character I created. And my nieces and nephews call me Aunt Sandy Claus because of the way I handle Christmas. We did not grow up believing in Christmas. We were raised Jehovah's Witnesses. So that joy in those moments were not part of our childhood. So I've worked really hard to make sure that my siblings and my nieces and nephews have just the opposite of what I didn't. And so I already created a character called Aunt Sandy Claus. You could Google it. So I want to bring her to life. And then I really want to do a daytime show, Monday through Friday. I really want to do that in my lifetime.
Well, I can't tell you how great it's been talking to you. Just so everyone knows, the first episode started streaming August 9th. And are they all dumped at the same time, or is it weekly?
Yes. No, you can binge watch it. They're all up, 8 episodes. The first episode, you're going to be shocked. I think the 4th or 5th episode, I literally start crying. We're baking in real time. These are 14-hour days. This is not stop down, go to bed, go to sleep, freshen up, come back, bake, be happy. This is what it is.
Well, that's amazing. I can't wait to see it, and look forward to talking to you again.
I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much to you and your audience.